हम आपको बहार नस्तालीक चैनल में खुश आमदीद कहते हैं। आप अपनी और अपने बच्चों की खूबसूरत उर्दू इंग्लिश लिखाई के लिए और अपडेट रहने के लिए बहार नस्तालीक चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और घंटी का बटन दबाएं। शुक्रिया।
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today in Arabic calligraphy script thulus is going to be start. Today we'll start at first letter alif with the maximum of its detail. We will try to learn to draw and study. Now before starting alif we divide it into different parts and we make its three main parts of the alif without its head, zuluf, hilia or crown of the alif. Let's see, we start here. Placing the Qalam at 80 degree, we go down very slightly and we make its first part. Now from the second part we start right the end of the first part and go down very slightly, and this part is slightly thicker than the first part, and for the third part we place the Qalam at the same direction of the end of the second part and we go down, moving our thumb downward and giving it to the final blunt shape, not pointed. These are the three parts of the alif. Now we draw crown of the alif or head, hilia or zuluf, placing the Qalam at the same angle. Right here we go down and somewhat right way. We will discuss in detail how to make zuluf or hilia of the alif, giving it a slight touch here and one cut after trying to make this triangle complete, and in the giving it a slight touch and making its hardness soft and fill it. This is zuluf or hilia of the alif. Now we measure this zuluf. It is up to 1.5 cut, and in long alif it may be 2 cut, and the total measurement of the alif is going to be measured 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. The measurement in length, the alif is of different. It is 8 cut, normally 11 cut, and minimum 4 cut is drawn according to the composition or spaces available. This is the thinner part, this is slightly different thicker part, and this is the closing end. And here is curve, here is a little curve here, and now I'm going to make you a different perspective view just to make understand the shape of the alif. You can see it, the middle part is slightly thicker, and sometimes the words are checked like that, different arcs, curves or shapes of different parts of the word. Now I'm going to make it again with some of its detail. Just place the Qalam at, this is the first part, and making your thumb slightly downward and going down. This gives the first part a thinner shape. 80 degree, place your Qalam, go down, taking your thumb slightly, pressing downward And for second part, place the Qalam at the same end of the first part, and keeping that the left straight line remains straight and the outer rightward line may be a blunt or somewhat thicker. Now draw your forefinger downward or your thumb upward. Just see, place the Qalam moving your thumb slightly upward or forefinger downward and go down, keeping in view the left side remains the straight, giving a slight touch here. And the third part, we place the Qalam at the end of the second part, and my thumb will rotate slightly downward. That will give the finish of the third part of the alif, and it will be a closing figure. Now pressing my thumb slightly downward, which gives the closing end of the alif, and it should not be pointed, it must be some blunt. This is the alif which is being drawn. Now I draw a straight line here just to show that a little curve here.
And now we see this part of the hilia, the angle of the Qalam 80 degree we place up, slightly above, and slightly rotate the angle just to draw the hilia or zuluf of alif. We place the Qalam and draw it downward, a slightly curve, and the width of the alif of this slight part we divide it into 3 equal parts, 1/3, and we look again. This is the slight part, first part. We divide it into 3 parts, first, second, and third. And when we draw the hilia from up to downward, we on our right side we take to the lower tip of the Qalam on the 1/3 of the width of the slight part. In this straight line, second cut of the Qalam of Nastaleeq, and this third cut we draw and rotate the tip slightly, and then making this triangle, we complete this triangle. We place the Qalam in a straight line and just draw a cut, and then closing the triangle we slightly touch inner side of the zuluf just to give it softness and fill this hilia after that. In alif there are 3 curves, one second and third here. Here is curve, a hair slightly curve, a slightly here and slightly here, so that the alif completes. And the hilia or zuluf of the alif matters the length of the alif. If the alif is of long size, then it is made of 1.5 and 2 cut, and if the alif is shortened like 4-5 cut in measurement, if the alif is, then the hilia will be made a smaller one. So this is the alif. Now I am going to put one cut above the alif. This alif is vertically in between one cut, top to bottom. Now we draw only the hilia, and for that we just place the Qalam on the 80 degree and draw down, and for hilia we slightly increase the angle, place the Qalam and bring down to the 1/3 from the right side, 1/3 width of the first part of the alif from the right side. Then we complete the hilia as we already discussed. Mark a cut and close the triangle, and then completing it. This hilia depends upon the size of the alif. If the alif is of long length, then the hilia will be 1.5 or 2 cut, and if the alif is short, then the hilia is also according to that. This is the hilia. If we measure Nastaleeq cut, it will be 3, and if we measure in thulus cut, then it is 1.5 cut. This is the hilia, and we now we draw the third part, the tail of the alif. We don't draw the inner part, and for that we tilt our thumb slightly downward, or the lower tip slightly downward, and draw down. Then the ending of the alif is made. In third part of the alif is made. Place the Qalam and rotating thumb slightly downward, we move down, and then this tail of the alif is made. It should neither be pointed nor more blunt. And this is our first lesson about alif. In the next lesson, inshallah, we will discuss about the second alphabet ba of Qati Sulus. Assalamu alaikum.